Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to another installment of Radio Free Decipher. This is Evan Lorenz coming at you from Norfolk with my special guest today, Mike Girard.
How's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah. We are in a very empty, very lonely, quiet little corner of the office today because everybody, and I do mean everybody in the marketing department, is out today at Comic-Con. You sorry you didn't get to go?
No, I'm excited I get to go to Origins and Gen Con.
Right, okay. Well, for those of you who can get out to Comic-Con, that of course, you're probably there already if you're planning to go, but it's an excellent show, well worth checking out. You'll have an opportunity there to demo .hack Enemy, either at our booth or at the Bandai booth. There's going to be some big events going on there. We've got a lot of booth space. Lots of fun, the typical Decipher love fest there if you're a fan.
Yeah, if I remember right, there's a Premier Series animated Voyage out there as well.
I believe that would be the case, yeah. So definitely events worth checking out. If you can't make it there, though, we assume that we will be seeing you next week at the big one, Gen Con / DecipherCon happening in Indianapolis. Now, you said you are going to that, as am I.
I'll be attending that one.
As are most everybody in the TCG and marketing departments. Some people in the sales department are going. It's big.
Yeah, I suspect most of Decipher will be there.
And, of course, big mainly in that both of our World Championships events are going to be happening there. We should talk about that a little bit. One of the things that's sort of a tie-in to the World Championship event this year is on DGMA, as has been done for some of our larger events this summer, there's going to be a pick your winning players, winning team.
It is actually a winning team. It's a Fantasy Pro Tour. It's like a Fantasy Pro Tour type thing. Where DGMA will rank individual players based on their performance, and they'll give them each a point value. And you have a maximum point value you can spend. And relatively, the inconspicuous players, aren't worth very many points, but a lot of the big names like Brochu and Dominic and Patrick, they're worth quite a few.
Yeah. And, of course, on the Trek side, we've got John Corbett, who's coming off of winning Origins, and he, of course, placed second at the World Championship last year for First Edition. So
that is correct.
There are going to be some recognizable names on all sides of this. What would your team be?
For Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Or for Trek?
Well, who do you know? Who would you pick?
Well, for Lord of the Rings, I would probably have to go with some kind of combination of the Canadians, maybe a Patrick Sullivan, Patrick Malbouf, obviously Brochu.
I think you'd run out of points pretty quick trying to do that.
I mean, probably the front runner is Matthew. I mean, he's just coming off his Origins win, and he was the reigning world champion and whatnot.
He's certainly going to be tough to beat.
But I mean, we got the stateside boys and Mike Dalton and Alex Tennant. And who knows who's going to show up out of California. I mean, Ryan Jones will probably make an appearance. Yeah, I expect that's going to be quite the event to behold. Well, especially since it's still relatively new in the season when Ents is legal.
Right. There's certainly going to be some tricks there still to be learned.
I know a lot of people are anxious to, they're staying tuned to DGMA early next week to see the deck list from San Diego this weekend. Oh, yeah, that's right. You'll be able to see. I wonder, if I were a player qualifying at San Diego, I probably wouldn't plan on taking the same deck, but that might be just me. Well, it depends. I mean, there's a lot of money at stake in
true.
San Diego.
You want to do the best thing you got.
And especially if you can't make it to DecipherCon,
Good
heaven
point.
forbid.
Well, then there just might be some new tech for you to steal from somebody else and use at
That is correct. I mean, the trees are big, and Saruman and Grimma have their bully boys and whatnot. So there's a lot of new strategies out there.
And, of course, when it comes down to these final competitions, you and I both have certain duties to perform this year that first time for both of us. We're going to be helping with the commentating on the final games. You looking forward to that? Yes, I am actually looking really forward to that. Of course, this was a rhetorical question because I knew you were, but the folks listening, he's been talking about this constantly, like it comes up every day, all week. Yeah, that is correct. This year it'll be Mark Tuttle on the play-by-play. As usual, he is an excellent sort of master of ceremonies for that. That is correct. And Jeff Snyder and I, the game developers for Decipher, will be doing the color commentary. Yep, and for Lord of the Rings. For Lord of the Rings. And then Brad and I, game designers for Star Trek, will be assisting in the second edition championship commentary. And we are all, the lot of us, quite eager to have some fun with that. Very quite eager. And, of course, you'll also be able to get .hack enemy demos there at the booth. Let's see, they'll be giving away the Denethor cards at the booth, I believe.
That is correct. Yep, that is correct.
Lots of activities. Just
there's
incredible.
There's some trivia things going on. I mean,
that's right. The Roving Aragorn, as we have done at some cons before. People will be familiar with that.
There's charity tournaments. There's Race to Mount Doom League tournaments that are going to go on.
Yeah, poor Trevor and Bojo. They've got their hands full.
That is correct.
So if you see them, be nice.
But I mean, anything you expect at DecipherCon will be going on at this event.
Now, you've been to Gen Con before, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Qualifying?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
You going to miss not being there as a player?
I am going to miss it, but I do enjoy the note-taking and the play-by-play that I keep track of in the past events that I've been doing this year.
Yeah. What was that like for you at Origins?
It was interesting. There's a lot of interesting gameplay and whatnot, and a lot of dynamic players that were in the top level of the competitions. Did
you go in with predictions about what kind of decks you expected to see?
I did.
And?
Some of them were correct. I expected to see a lot of Hobbits with Dauntless Hunter because he maximizes on like the pool potential and whatnot. You know, because now that standard environment, you know, has become pretty standard. we miss No Strangers to the Shadows and Aragorn that you know, emphasizes the pool choke, but the Hobbits have their own kind of pool choke, and they keep this fellowship small, and yet they have a lot of vitality, so that means a lot of diversity and versatility.
Right. Okay, well, you have similar predictions ready for next week?
Unfortunately, they're not as concrete as
well, Ants throws that into chaos.
Yeah, I mean, come talk to me next Tuesday.
Okay, I got you.
We'll see what comes out of Comic-Con and whatnot. I mean, I have my you know, I have my ideas, but we'll see.
Sure. Also, for Trek players, it would be worth pointing out, in case you haven't spotted it already, that there are new current rulings documents that went up this week. No real substantial changes in either the first edition or second edition rules documents, but some clarifications on some questions that came up at Origins, and also questions about the card stratagem in All Good Things. And so you'll want to check those out because they will possibly impact what you want to do a little bit. Again, nothing new, but definitely worth knowing if you're going to play. And speaking of All Good Things, that has finally released this week after a short delay. We have heard that some distributors are still having trouble pulling it through the channels, but it is out there. So if your local store doesn't have it, you'll want to check back with them over the next couple days, early into next week, or you can hook up with us at Gen Con, and we should have it on our booth.
I'm not sure if we're offering it through the Decipher store as well.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure. I got to check into that.
I don't know either. And of course the Fellowship Anthology next week as well. That also had a short delay on that, but you will be seeing it at the tail end next week.
Right, so you will be able to play with your Tengwar cards.
Are you going to play with Tengwar?
I don't know. That's a lot of squiggly marks for me.
It would be a challenge for me too. I mean, I guess it's no different than, it looks cool, but
I mean, I still prefer to play with the Chinese and the Portuguese cards.
See, I wouldn't even do that. I really need to be able to read my cards. But then again, I'm not a very advanced player, so it's hard to say. So one other thing that I do want to mention here before we kind of head out and make our preparations is talk about Call to Arms very briefly, because we have received our approvals, as I may have noted already, and you will start to see cards from that next week.
I'm actually very excited about
including the new, some of the new templates that have people very excited, Borg and Dominion. So kind of watch for that next week. We're going to start with some very big, splashy cards. I also believe that Scry and Inquest magazines are going to have some advertisements that will show off some cards. So there's lots of places to look for Call to Arms goodness starting next week. We would probably have started it earlier, but with all of us going to Gen Con, DecipherCon, it kind of made the posting sort of a nightmare for our beleaguered web team.
I'm actually excited about some of the templates that are going to be in Call to Arms.
Yeah, it's some really good-looking stuff. I was really impressed the first time around with just the new templates in Premiere, but at the risk of sounding like Emerald, he really kicked it up a notch. Our artist Joe Bolden did a really good job on the Call to Arms templates, and I think everybody's going to be a fan.
I encourage everybody to look at them closely. There's a lot of subtleties
involved. Yes, kind of that same stuff. It's things like you'll notice that the Romulan pattern is their uniform checker marks, and then the Federation has like a starship hull design in their text box and stuff like that. You'll notice more of those details on the new templates that make it a lot of fun.
Very much fun. I'm
cool.
Very, very impressed.
All right. Well, then that is all the news that I have to share today. And, of course, there will not be an RFD broadcast next week because we'll all be on the road and hoping to see you there. Thanks for sitting down to talk a little shop with me, Mike.
No problem, no problem.
All right. We'll see you all at DecipherCon.